Good evening, and thank you for joining us at our calling City Hall tonight. Appreciate you tuning in. I've got with me a few very, very good guests. I'm pretty excited about the
well, there are at least two good guests.
We've got two really good ones, and then we've got our council president, Steve Brown. So, Council President, thank you for being here with us tonight. It's great to have you with us. And we also have with us our city clerk, Ruth Whitworth, and we appreciate you spending some extra time with us today.
You bet.
Thank you very much. And our elections administrator, Julie Hancock from the county. Thank you for coming over and spending some time with us as well. We thought it would be important for us to talk a little bit about elections because it's that time of year again, and we want to get as many people out there to vote, and we kind of want to give them an idea of what they're voting for, kind of some time frames, early voting, where they vote, things like that. And so to me, I think it's exciting. It's always an exciting time of year when you're running for office and you see everybody else that wants to run for office, and they come out because it's not an easy decision to make. And so some people take it serious, some people don't take it as serious, but it's still not an easy decision. And so it's exciting time of year as far as I'm concerned, but it's extra work for the two of you. I know that you work late into the evening on election night. So,
but for me, it's like Christmas.
That's true.
I get Christmas a couple times a year, and election season's one of them. So
our good council president's kind of a nerd when it comes to elections and politics. He loves them, and it's fun to talk to him about them as well, just simply because of that.
I'm not sure I've ever been called a nerd.
On TV, probably never.
I'm a political nerd.
A political nerd.
All right. Good. I'll put that on my business card.
That's right.
That's good.
But it is. It's fun because of everything that you know about elections from when we were 5. On up, it seems like.
Well, you can buy it honestly. I grew up in the business.
That's true. That's true. With your father being the mayor at one point, and on the city council, and a legislator, you definitely have had your life of elections.
True.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting.
I miss the good old days when everybody got together on election night at Election Central, which was at the Holiday Inn. And the League of Women Voters would sponsor Election Central, and the parties would have their different rooms. But the main room would have a big board full of nails on it, and they'd go hang the numbers on it. And, you know, the phone would ring, and everybody's running over to find out what's the next update. I miss those days. And I think part of that, missing that, is having everybody, regardless of what their background was, in the same place at the same time, all excited and full of energy. I mean, I miss those days.
Yeah.
You know, people that may have been politically divergent, but still together for a single purpose.
Yeah.
And that purpose is the process that we're going to talk about today.
Sure.
So.
Well, and part of those days, you used to have the election, and after it was over, everybody got behind the person that was elected.
Yeah.
And we long for those days as well. So.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting. So, Ruth, tell us a little bit about elections, if you.
Well,
if you
this is
our
general city election, and the election day is November the 7th. Right now is open candidacy time, and a person can come in and place their petition for candidacy for the mayor's position, and we also have seats 4, 5, and 6. That closes at 5 p.m. on Friday, and so if someone is interested in running,
September
8th, and if they're interested in running, they need to get that in. It also affects Bannock County elections if they choose to have signatures on a petition for candidacy. They can do that to get 5 registered voters within that city to sign their candidacy form, and then they have it verified by Bannock County Elections, or they can pay a $40 non-refundable fee. And so we have that going on, and
I never paid for
been
it. I
busy.
mean, I never got the signatures because I couldn't find 5
Five
cents.
friends.
So I just paid the $40.
Couldn't find 5 friends to sign it.
Well, it's really convenient to
not
have
true.
the $40 when you decide at 4:30 on Friday that
Yeah.
you want to run. And so they did that partly for that reason. The legislature gave people that option.
That they
So
could
if-
decide last minute.
Yep, yep. Yep.
Well, that's good.
So this is a city election, but how is the county involved in a city election?
Okay, well, do you want to take that, Julie?
In 2009, the state consolidated all of the elections statewide, but by county. So the county became responsible for all special district elections, which could include ambulance districts, fire districts, cemetery districts, library districts, and of course the cities, and also schools, school boards, school levies, things like that. So although it's the city's election and all of the forms and the candidates and stuff is what Ruth handles, we basically administer the election. We will build the ballot, we'll get the polling places staffed, we'll get the early walk-in voting open and available to people, and so basically we're just running it for you, so to speak.
Pretty nice of you. Thank you.
Well, and it's great because it's really good for the voters. Because every election is the same. You know where you need to go. It's the same type of ballot. It's all continuous.
Mm-hmm. And we use the same counting machines for every election. We use the same ballot style. And I think the biggest reason for consolidating these elections statewide was to encourage turnout, to encourage people to make it as easy as possible. Americans turn out to the polls in record low numbers most of the time. So to get that consistency of always going to the same place to vote, always going to the same location to early vote, always contacting the same office for a ballot to be mailed to you, that kind of continuity, I think, helps people, show up.
I think it definitely will make a difference. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
I do know every year, though, it seems like every year we have people call and say, where do I vote?
Oh, sure.
And so with that, do we put out on the county website, I'm guessing, we have where your precinct is and where you live and where you go to vote from that?
Yeah, we actually have a new GIS mapping department, head of the GIS, and she's really, really skilled, and her staff has been making leaps and bounds on progress for mapping and stuff. So we've got an interactive map on the website. It's just scroll down a little bit from the elections top of the page, and once the whole Bannock County opens up, you can click anywhere on that and it'll tell you your precinct number and your polling location and your address, and it'll map you to it. So
That's really good. And if you haven't moved since the last election, the polling place has not changed.
correct.
You're always going to be going to the same spot.
Yep. And if we do have to change a polling place for, there's various reasons why that would happen, we always send a letter to every registered voter in that precinct informing them of the new location.
Okay.
And then website and newspaper and,
Yeah. The education's out there. You're getting the word out that, hey, things have changed. Yeah. Which is pretty important in any kind of election.
Sure is.
Sometimes you mentioned the voter turnout is historically low. And I think it's because we sometimes take it for granted that we do have a say in who our government is, who's the leaders are, and so
I
hopefully
agree with
someday that will change.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. We had a 72% in the presidential, and I was really hoping with all of the hype that was going on with that we would get at least up in the 80s.
Yeah.
But we didn't. So.
Yeah, it's too bad.
There were a lot of passionate people and then other people that just kind of gave up.
Threw their hands in the air
Yeah.
and walked away.
That's true.
So Ruth, when we have a city election, how do we know who the candidates are and how do we track? I mean, what's the process that they have to go through? I think it's important that we know where they get their money, who donates to them, all of that transparency in reporting. How does that work?
That's a really good question, and that's what the city side is. Like Julie said, they're taking care of going to the polls, counting all the ballots once that date comes. We're the city, because our city is over 5,000 people, we have to have what is the Sunshine Law. And what that means is the finance reporting, like you talked about. So when a person, let's say after the candidacy date closes on Friday, then that person becomes responsible to submit reports to me showing what monies have come in, what monies they've spent, who's contributing to their race, all of those kinds of things. There's dates when that is due. And the first one is due October the 10th, and that actually is from the day that they certify their treasurer and through September the 30th. So any activity they're doing, even now, if they're getting in money or spending money, they need to be tracking that. Then once those forms come in, I go through and make sure they balance, and then we put all of that information on our city's website. So it is available to the media, it's available to just any individual. We have people that look all over the country to see who's supporting who. And so all of that information is available out there. As soon as they turn that in, I'm giving it to our webmaster, and he's getting it out there for people. So they can always make a records request to ask for it, but even better, it's on the website. And the website, if they want to even look right now, they can go to the city's website, click on the government, and scroll down, kind of like what Julie said, scroll down a little bit, and they'll find elections. And so once they click upon that, and I brought that actually with me so I could let people know what is there, it shows the terms, who is up for re-election, when the election is, where to go vote. We've linked into the county's page. We also, once we have it, the official candidate list. So it'll have all the individuals running for mayor, all the individuals running for seat 4, 5, or 6. Then they can actually click on that person and find out not only their financial information, but we also always ask candidates 4 questions, and we put those out there too. We don't send out an information brochure. Does your office do that about candidates?
No.
Or you don't do that anymore?
No.
Okay, we don't do that either, but we do provide the candidates that would like to. They don't have to, but if they choose to answer questions, we will put it out there for them so people know what they're about, what their platform is, that kind of stuff.
That's a great process. I like the way we've put it on the website so that you can go out and look. It's very transparent, and
Yes.
it's
Put everything out there.
very easy for people to
And I
see
think
what's
that's
happening.
important in the political process, in political and government process, so that people have confidence in the people that they're voting for, and the people that they've elected.
Absolutely.
So.
I would agree with that. So there are some pretty important dates coming up.
Yes.
What are the dates that you can do you need to register first?
Well, there's a pre-registration date, which is October, let me look here. I wrote it down. October 13th is the pre-registration for the November 7th election. However, Idaho does have same-day voter registration, so
Okay.
if an individual needs to register at the polls, they can do that, or in our office during early voting, but they have to vote at the same time that they register. A piece of mail and a photo ID will do that for you.
Okay.
Our early voting times are October 9th through November 3rd. And
That's early voting.
That's early voting. We'll be open from 9 to 4:30, Monday through Friday.
And where do you do that?
At 141 North 6th is our newly remodeled elections office. We're right by the courthouse, across from the annex. What used to be the old jail. I think commonly most
people know.
people come in and say they've spent some time.
It's changed a little bit since I was here last.
We get that a little bit, yeah. But that's the easiest way to find us. We'll have signs out on the sidewalk. There's an ADA compliant entrance behind that building and ADA parking behind our office, so either door works.
So it's right, really truly, you go to the courthouse, and it's not in the courthouse itself, it's just along the road.
Let me
Right.
tell you how easy it is to go vote early. there's multiple parking lots to figure out where to park.
That's
and
right.
there's plenty of parking, even though some of them look full. Look, you can find one. You walk across the street. Sometimes, once, I parked in front of the building. I walked in, told them who I was. They checked my ID, and I voted, put it in the box, told everybody thanks, and I walked out. I don't know if it was a minute and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so simple to actually go vote that somewhere along the line people forgot how important it is.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I think that's
yeah,
true.
that is a really good point.
We do make it as easy as you possibly can, and there's not very often very many people, if at all any. I was there, I think, the last election, and we had a number of people in there, and I think it took no more than 3 or 4 minutes to,
Yeah.
and that was with a line, and so it
We-
really truly moves.
It does, and we voted the last day we were open for the presidential general, and I know sometimes it's comparing apples and oranges when you're looking at different types of elections, but we voted 980 people in that one day, and they were lined up out the door and towards the ramp of the courthouse, and I watched the line. Was just, we were staffed enough to where the longest wait that day was 15 minutes,
Yeah,
and voted
That's-
980 people. So
that's pretty impressive.
we're really happy with the new facility, and we get a lot of compliments from the public. And
Well,
And
a
it's very
beautiful-
secure, too.
yes, it's very secure. With 2 vaults in there and a camera on the ballots all the time. And
That's fantastic.
this is a related question, but not really. Is that
Okay.
okay? I mean,
Ask it first, and we'll decide.
there are always people that have some concern about the machines that count the ballots.
Sure.
How do we know that we can trust what comes out the other end of that ballot counting machine?
well, we take every effort to keep those machines secure. Nobody ever touched those machines except for our IT guy and the person putting the ballots in on election night. The machine has no ability to communicate with the outside world via any kind of Wi-Fi
I
or
can't hack it
fiber
from my
optics. You
laptop?
can't hack
Yeah.
that machine from your laptop.
Okay.
We would arrest you if you tried. I'm kidding. So,
Well, you don't even have Wi-Fi in that building. is
no,
that
we
correct?
hardwired the entire office to the internet, so there is no Wi-Fi in there. The wall that we plug into has no phone lines and no network cables in that wall. It's just electricity. The only way to communicate with that machine is through a zip drive that pulls out, puts in a laptop, and there's your results of what the ballots had gone through. That's the count. It's simple. Well, we're probably going to upgrade because our machines are about 11 years old now, but right now it's a laser technology. We're going to go to a digital. But really, it's just looking for an oval that's been blackened in and that it's in the right race and the right candidate gets that. We run 3 separate test stacks of ballots through the machines before every election that are marked by 3 separate entities. ES&S, which is Election Systems and Software. The Secretary of State marks a deck for us, a test deck, and then we mark one for ourselves. So we know that if those all come out accurately, their coding is correct as well. So.
And then they also invite the city clerks to.
Yes, it's a public certification. I'm not sure which day that's going to be on, but it'll be on our website, and I'll let all the cities know.
So I verify it all comes out exactly the way it's supposed to, and then I sign off on that. We double check, make sure everything's counting accurately.
And then on election night, you do the same thing. I mean, you don't do the same thing verifying because you've already done that, but election night, you got the city clerk in there also watching the
Absolutely.
machines and
I try to stay out of their way
Well-
because they're really, really fast.
We
yeah.
we'll bring on volunteers. League of Women Voters has always been really good at volunteering. We like to encourage anybody that has an interest in it to just come sit at a resolution table, we call it, or a write-in table, verify write-ins, and then if we have to resolve a ballot if it didn't, if it's not marked. So we get a lot of check marks instead of fill-ins.
Oh.
We have a team remark a ballot exactly the voter intent, and then run that back.
So
in
you
the
don't just
machine,
throw the
but-
ballot out, you try to
Right.
figure it out?
To resolve it, right. We don't throw anything out
Yeah.
in the elections office.
Nope, absolutely not.
But we do, as we call it a zero, we have witnesses that the machines have been zeroed out. We print a report that says all zeros, and then that's when we start.
That's when you start.
Yeah.
Pretty difficult to rig the machine then.
Yeah, you would have to be, you would have to have a team of, 20 programmers that would take weeks and weeks and months to program something to throw an election off. And most of us aren't programmers.
Yeah.
Not just program it, but how do they get that program into the machine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because they're under lock and key all the time. And the discs that we get that has the specific election with the candidates and the positions and all of the races on it is specific to Bannock County, and nobody touches that. It goes right into lockdown as soon as we get it. So.
Well, and then you zero it out, and you confirm that it's zeroed out before you start, and so it would be tough. Look over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be pretty tough to.
And what a better facility to have for security than an old jail.
That's exactly right.
Our vault, I think, used to be the evidence room, so it's
That's
concrete walls all the way around. Nobody's getting in there.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you what, you've done an incredible job with that building too. It just looks nice.
Thanks.
It's welcoming. It's wide open. There's zero pressure when you walk into that facility, and so I would encourage everybody to go and vote. Vote early if you can, and if you can't, then go to your polling places. But it's a good experience.
Yeah, there's another option too, a ballot in the mail, if you'd like.
Okay.
A voter would just need to submit a request to us in writing with their original signature. That's how we verify them with their voter card that's on our in our file. And they have until October 27th to submit something to us in writing, and then we would mail the ballot to them. They vote it. There's a signature affidavit on the back of the envelope. Sign it, mail it back. That's pretty easy to vote right at your kitchen table if you want to.
Yeah, that's
And
a pretty.
return it immediately. Give it time to
Quickly.
get.
Yeah.
Time is of the essence at the mail.
With the mail, you just never know, and so yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing the legislature did this year on campaign finance reporting, is that nothing can be mailed in now. It all has to be done electronically, which all of our forms are on our website, so they can either do fillable forms on the website, or they can scan it and email it to me, or drop it off by hand. There's always that way, but they can no longer mail them. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
yeah, that's brand new this year.
Well, that's great.
Have you filed your paperwork, Mayor?
Yes, I have.
All right, just double checking.
He
Paperwork
has. I
is
have him
filed.
right here.
Does he have any opponents?
Yeah, boy.
He
Do
does.
I ever?
It's been quite busy, actually, for the mayor's race this year. We have 5 people that have actually turned their paperwork back in. Did you want me to read those?
Sure.
Or we've got Jamie Hudson, and these aren't in any order other than when they came and brought in their information. Chad Horst, Sam Labooney, Brian Blatt, and Tammy Bartlett have all turned in their paperwork. We've got 2 other individuals that have picked up, but they have not returned their paperwork. So they might be undecided, I'm not sure.
So we've got the mayor's race,
Got the mayor's
Yes.
and then
race.
we have 3 city council seats.
3 city
up.
councils. So the city council seats that, if you see where the mayor sits, the city council on the right side of the mayor, so seats 4, 5, and 6.
TV left.
TV, no, it's still the right.
For you. But if I'm watching TV, it's on my left.
Okay, yeah, you're right, I guess it is. Yeah, that's right.
I'm just giving you a hard time, brother.
I'm thinking, oh, man alive, what is he, right? They're always there, though, I know that.
So Heidi
So-
Adamson is council seat number 4, and she has put in her paperwork for that. I don't have anyone else running against her at this time. And seat number 5 is Councilmember Orr. He has picked up his paperwork. I have not seen it returned from him, but Linda Luerk, is that right? How do you pronounce that?
Luerk.
She has turned in paperwork for that position, and then I also have one other person that's just picked up paper. Seat number 6, which Councilmember Moore is vacating. He's decided not to run again. We will miss him. But Rick Cheatham has turned in his paperwork. Stephen Conway and Elton Zundel have turned in their paperwork for that position. So that's where we're at
It's going to
today.
be a busy race.
And today's Wednesday afternoon. The 6th, you got 2.5 days.
2.5 days.
Finalize that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So anything's possible. And you might get those people that have the $40 that are going to come in the last.
minute
That's
and
me.
do it. That's me.
I was joking the other day that I should run for one of those offices, then I could be on the city council
That's-
twice.
Do you get 2 votes?
Hey,
You went
and
from
all it
here?
cost was $40.
Go from here, and then you have to run across to
I'm
go
not
vote
going to
there.
do that. That's too
Yeah.
much work.
You'll be busy running back and forth.
But I could do
I don't want
that.
to give you the bad news.
I could do that, resign my seat, and you could put somebody in my seat. Then I could sit on the other side of the dais.
Then you could be on my right, left.
And not confuse the voter.
That's right.
That's right.
That's great. But election day is coming up, and so we really, truly would hopefully everybody gets at least informed.
Absolutely.
There will be some dates or some debates that will happen. I'm sure the League of Women Voters will have a debate. And so please get involved, be informed,
Absolutely.
know who you're going to vote for, and go and vote. Make sure that happens. It's pretty important.
Yep.
I mean, there are elections that are only decided by a few votes, and so if you think your vote doesn't matter, it matters. And
does.
so,
And Julie's going to order those ballots for you to come and vote. And if you
Right.
don't show up, she's kind of stuck with them.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of ballots on hand.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't want to put a bunch of blank ones away.
Yeah, no
So
kidding.
let's mark them.
Let's
no
use them.
kidding. Let's get them marked up and do
Yeah.
what we need to do with them. I know that elections are a very difficult time for the both of you because it's busy. You've got a lot of reports you've got to follow up on. You've got to make sure that the ballots are done right. You've got to make sure that the machine's counting right. You've got to make sure everybody's filling out their paperwork and turning them in on a timely fashion. And so I appreciate the two of you because it's one of those jobs that is just an added responsibility to your already busy schedules. And so
It's one of the jobs that is critical to the process of government in America.
yeah.
To make this process work, they have to be filled by competent people. And that's what we have.
Absolutely.
Julie's great to work
Thank you.
with.
So is Ruth.
It's good. It's really neat. And I'll tell you, go and vote, please. Go and vote.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough.
Yes, it's important.
Yeah.
I remember watching on the news when the Iraqis were able to vote, and they came
Oh,
out with
gosh.
their finger painted to show that they had voted, and it's incredible.
My son was serving over there during that time, and he guarded those elections, and he
Oh, wow.
said it was just amazing to watch.
And so think about that when, if you're deciding whether I should go and vote or not, that those are people that got to really vote for the first time in their
Yeah,
life, and,
yeah.
and we get
Yep.
it. Every couple years we get to vote.
Yep.
And so it's
Yeah.
definitely a great responsibility. So
Maybe too often. Maybe that's why people don't vote.
Maybe.
Happens too much.
happens too much, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Well,
You're always doing an election of some
I'm not
kind.
advocating
Yes.
getting away with it.
Yeah, oh no, I hear
power
you.
to
I'm
the
just-
people.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly right. But thank you very much. Our time is up,
Thank
and I
you.
really appreciate your time. Hopefully, people will listen and they'll get their neighbors and go and vote and do that. So
I hope so.
thank you.
It's important. Constitutional right.
Absolutely.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you think one voice doesn't make a difference? So you think one voice doesn't make a difference?
Good evening, and thank you for joining us again after the break. We have with us a new guest that's pretty excited to be here, and we are excited to have him as well. I'd like to thank Council President Steve Brown for sticking around, though. Thank you very much.
Almost got away.
He's tried to get away there for a minute, but couldn't get out the door. So we appreciate you being here. Thank you. And we've got with us the city PIO/video services director, flag design chairman Logan McDougall. And we thought today, is there another title we could put in there?
PIO stands for Public Information Officer.
Yes.
Public Information Officer, and any other things that we could
When I
add
worked
to
for the
this?
federal government, I actually had a catalog of acronyms.
Yeah, that is one thing I've noticed since getting into government. That
Yeah, I made it myself because I didn't. But it was. I think I was up to 87 pages after 14 years.
Wow,
So
incredible. Well, we could make his title longer if we try to figure out how to do that.
we can tack on a few.
nice.
That's right. Anyway, we've got an exciting event coming up on September 19. Logan has spent the last year and a half
Yeah, I think that's what it'll total out at.
with working with a committee to design a new flag for the city of Pocatello. It's gone through a number. Well, you can tell the story better than I can. So, Logan, why don't we just let you tell the story?
Well, I guess just start at the beginning. So in late 2015, early 2016, the city was approached by local residents who had seen a TED Talk which very publicly highlighted how Pocatello had the worst flag in North America according to the North American Vexillological Association. So
And before
vexillology.
then, nobody in Pocatello had ever heard the word vexillological.
Vexillological.
Most of them didn't know we had a flag.
That's true too.
Which we came to find out that is also true.
That's right.
But yeah, this TED Talk by Roman Mars, he has the podcast 99% Invisible. He's also a journalist, runs a conglomerate of different podcasts as well. Highlighted us in this TED Talk for having the worst flag. Well, these residents see this and say, this cannot stand, we have to do something about it. So they approach the city, approach the mayor, and it's decided that we're going to take this on, that the city will work on getting a new flag and get rid of this flag that's been so publicly called out.
Do you remember how publicly it was called out? How many views?
Last I checked, it was over 4 million. When we started,
It's fairly public.
yes.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, so when we started, it was in the 3 million-ish range. I can't remember exactly, but 4 million views on the TED Talk website. And I'm sure if you went to YouTube or other third-party sites, it would even more there. So it's called out. Committees formed. So the Flag Design Ad Hoc Committee is formed with shepherding the process of getting a new flag for the city. So we spent the summer of 2016 hammering out the process. How do we want to go about getting designs? What do we want to do once we have the designs, and go from there? So we worked through the process in the fall and into the winter of last year, so 2016, put the call out for designs and told the world, send us your designs. What do you think Pocatello is? What does Pocatello mean to you? And we opened it up to the world because we wanted people with any connection to Pocatello to have a chance at this. So there's people who come here, go to school at Idaho State for 4 or 5, 6 years, depending on whatever degree they're getting, and then they leave and move on, but they still have a connection to the city. What about the kids who grow up here, go to high school, but go on to higher education elsewhere? We wanted them to be able to participate, or people who just lived here for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever, and then moved away for another opportunity or something like that. We wanted them to be able to participate. So that's why it was opened up to the world. So we have the submission gathering process. And that ran into December. When it was all said and done, we had 709 designs turned into us. There was 26 different countries represented and 31 U.S. states represented. So 3 out of every 5 U.S. states was in the running for this process.
It's incredible how global it went.
Right, and it was before even really starting. CBS Sunday Morning was interested in the story, and to rewind a little bit, go back to April when the committee's first getting its wheels turning. CBS shows up and shoots a story on us, and that ended up airing in September, Labor Day weekend last year, and we used that as the opening call for the submission gathering process. So it already had national and international attention beyond just the TED Talk with CBS showing up. So that got going. we have the over 700 designs, and now, okay, we have all these designs, what do we do? Well, we decided, okay, we're going to convene a panel of local experts in art, design, history, vexillology, marketing, advertising. We wanted the area's best and brightest to come together and take a look at these and see which ones really stood out to them. So we started having them meet in January of this year, and then they're working on looking at the design, seeing what elements they like, which flags and their symbolism they like, and just trying to get an idea of what the mood and what the feeling is from all these designs. So the expert panel's meeting in March, we put all the designs out to the public. We had a display at the Marshall Public Library, and it took us a while to get that put together because we got so many designs. We received so many, we had to rework the library display, and all the credit goes to Trent and the folks at the Marshall Public Library for being able to figure this out and get it to work, because when we originally started, we thought we could print off, an 8.5 by 11 entry form and just pin it to the wall, and okay, we could do 500 and something of those. Well, like I said, 700, well, we had to change everything. We actually had to resize all the entry forms to a smaller size to get them to fit in the library. So that's part of the reason it took so long to get it up after the submission process had officially wrapped up. Well, so the public viewing of those goes on, and we're taking feedback from people. We asked people to select 3 flags and tell us a little bit about what they liked about those flags, what, if anything, they would change, and how they thought that flag represented Pocatello. So we get the public feedback, we've got the expert feedback. We take a look at all this feedback from the experts and start seeing some trends and some main themes emerge that people like to see on the flag. So the expert panel takes all these ideas, and they found some designs, some base designs to start with, and started tweaking those designs. Okay, it's good, but we'd like to make a few changes. The colors weren't quite right. This element could be bigger, this element could be smaller, and tweaking the designs and honing them. So we went through a couple rounds of that. We had one meeting with the expert panel where we were doing live edits. One of the people Megan Milder, she is a graphic designer. She was on both the ad hoc committee and the expert panel. She was doing live edits. We're like, okay, saying, okay, change that star shape, make it bigger. Oh no, don't do that, make it back smaller. Okay, change that color. No, that looks good. Okay, and just going through that. And so you had all these very, very smart people, like I said, experts in the area, spitballing all these ideas back and forth and seeing them up on the screen in real time and being able to get designs that they were comfortable with. And ultimately there were 6 that they were comfortable with, that they could get behind and that they thought were a great flag. And now we want to take those 6 back to the public again for a final round of feedback and say, okay, here's the 6. Which ones, rate these ones, which ones do you like the most, which ones do you like the least, and give us some feedback on these. And went from there, and we had a month-long feedback process on that. We had actually two former presidents of the North American Vexillological Association weigh in on these flags through that feedback process, in addition to a third who's the current president, who was on our expert panel. He actually lives down in Utah, reached out to us, and we talked to him a little bit, and he agreed to be a part of that effort. So we had 3 former presidents from NAVA involved in some capacity in this. So from there,
well, Logan, I might just interrupt real quick. What's really impressive about that, to me, is all of your citizen panel and your expert panel were all doing that out of the kindness of their heart.
Right.
They received no pay, no stipend. They spent a number of hours looking at flags, and they spent a number of hours debating and about the different flags and stuff, which is, to me, pretty incredible to think that there are people outside of our community that they spend their own money to come here,
right,
so that they could be a part of that discussion.
Right.
And
We had one gentleman, Imrai Larson. He's a former Pocatello resident, but now he does advertising and marketing for a firm out in New York City. He was able to attend one of our meetings, was flying in to see family, worked out his travel, was able to be here for it. He got stuck. He was going to be here for another meeting, but got stuck in, I think it was Denver or one of the airports, and so we ended up conference calling him in to be a part of it. And it's just...
Now, didn't he also utilize his entire staff?
Yes, so his firm was so excited by this prospect of being a part of it. I mean, I'll say it, historic effort, that they helped on some of these redesigns. So like I said before, we took the designs and started tweaking them. They did a round, they selected a few flags that they liked and decided to make some changes to. They were part of that. So they had there was a whole team in New York City working on this as well.
That's incredible. It's just incredible when you start thinking of that, to me anyway. So it's neat.
So if I'm a volunteer, I'm from Pocatello, I started at the beginning and saw the process all the way through, how much time did I donate to the process?
If you were on the ad hoc committee, we were meeting every other week, roughly. I think there was only 1 or 2 meetings that got canceled for whatever reason for a year and a half, so 26-ish plus meetings, an hour meeting average.
We had a couple meetings that went an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Right, and then the expert panel, they came in on their Saturdays. We were there starting at 8 a.m., leaving between noon and 1, and that happened 3 times.
The man hours is incredible.
Right, it was a lot of man hours, but again, the big thing to stress, it was all volunteers, all people who wanted to be a part of this effort and make a positive change in the community.
Well, and another thing that's neat is if you were on the ad hoc committee, you didn't get all these flags up there and then the experts came in and just said, okay, this is what we're going to do. You were a part of that decision, in fact, more so part of the decision than the experts. The experts said these are the 6 we would do, and then that ad hoc committee would change it around as well.
Yeah, they sent some back, and the ad hoc committee offered their own changes, saying, oh, we'd like to see this one like this, and make some changes in that process. And it was a lot of going back and forth. And the term design by committee has been used. And yes, there was a committee involved, but it wasn't like you see flags like Milwaukee where there's just a smorgasbord of elements on it. There was always that singular focus of, okay, this flag needs to abide by NAVA's rules for good flag design. And so that kept everyone very focused in, so there wasn't, add this, add that, add this, add that, and get all these design elements, and it just ends up with a muddy flag. So, I mean, it was a committee, but like I said, there was a singular focus to that committee of making sure we got to a flag that abided by those rules.
To me, it was incredible to see how everybody interacted, and nobody came in, look, I'm the expert, and so this is what it needs to look like. They all came in and said, we want to see this, and the experts went, oh, okay, let's see what this looks like. And
how often in a governmental setting do we have a team of people in a committee that can do that?
I would say once. It was this one.
God.
1 for 1 on it. I mean, this is my first city committee, so
wow.
I'll take it.
It's absolutely incredible, the time and the effort, and everybody honestly had the desire to make it right. Everybody put their egos aside and wanted to make it right.
All right, and that was, yes, that's accurate. It was, like I said, that singular focus on getting a good flag is what drove this committee and drove the expert panel. And in the expert panel meeting, you'd see someone spit out an idea, you'd see it on the screen and go, ooh, no, never mind. I mean, it was quick. It wasn't like anyone was married to any given idea. It was, let's see it. If it's great, run with it. If not, it's gone that quick.
What a good process.
It was awesome. It was awesome to see. The process. Anyway, I'm sorry we interrupted you, but I just thought, man, I've got to thank the panel. I've got to thank the committee, I've got to thank the expert panel for the time they spent, the effort they made, and it wasn't easy. It was not an easy thing to do either, and there were times when there were some exciting discussions, I would say, and then there were some times energetic discussion, but then everybody came back together and said, okay, the purpose of this is to get the best, and it literally, it worked.
It seemed to me that the mix of the committee was pretty broad.
It was.
You looked at the members of the community that came together to work on this, very different backgrounds, business people. I mean, it just very broad.
Business, medicine. I mean, it was.
We had a teenager on there that wanted to be a part, and so she was a part of it. And
she started as a high school student, now a college student. So just went to school.
But it was neat because everybody was treated as an equal in there as well. So it was neat.
All right. Well, let's just fast forward real quick. So we got the 6.
We got him off track.
Yeah, got me off track. So we've got the 6. We get the feedback from the public. The committee looks at that feedback, looks at what the public sentiment is on these flags, and then ultimately makes a decision on which flag to forward on to the city council and say this is our recommendation. This is what we think the flag of Pocatello should be. So these actually just got in last week, I believe, and this is, if you haven't seen it already, it was called Mountains Left, and I stress that's a file name. That is not the actual name of the flag. This is Pocatello's flag now, but this is the flag that ultimately the committee recommended to the city council, and the council ultimately approved through a resolution as the official flag for the city of Pocatello. So there is that.
So tell us then the symbolism, because there's a lot of symbolism in this. Thank you.
There is a pile of symbolism, to say the least, in this flag. So to start, you've got the 3 mountain peaks. Those represent obviously the mountains we have. So there we go. So we've got the 3 mountain peaks. Those represent obviously the mountains around the area, and specifically Scout, Kimport, and Chinese Peak. They also serve to represent the pillars of our economy. So you've got industry, education, and recreation. You've got the compass rose, which you can see right here. That symbolizes our central role as a transportation and trade hub for road, rail, and air. Now, in addition to the ties to transportation, it also points towards our past, our present, and our future. Color gold in the compass rose, that represents the region's agricultural ties. Lower white portion, that is to represent the snowy peaks we see in and around Pocatello. And it also creates an abstract arrowhead there that serves to acknowledge the area's Native American history. The design has an upward motion in it that signifies a positive hope for the future. You've got the blue sky there, which we so often enjoy in the summer, and the blue line near the bottom, that is the Portneuf River. So there's a lot going on in this flag, but it is not a cluttered design. It's very clean. And the big thing to remember with flags is flags don't spell out exactly what they symbolize. You look at the American flag and you've got red, white, blue, stars. Well, the stars, everyone knows, 50 states. The red and white bars, 13 original colonies. Well, beyond that, the blue, the white, and the red also has its own meanings affixed to that. So the blue is, the white's purity. I'm trying to do this off of memory. The blue, I can't remember, but
well, that just serves to prove the point that you're making. It doesn't have to say Pocatello's flag on it, or it doesn't have to say anything. In fact, it shouldn't.
Right. Yeah. You do not want to.
It should speak to you as you look at it of what Pocatello is and what we represent. Right. The U.S. flag is the same way.
Right. Yeah, and it's a graphical representation.
Yeah.
You know, you look at flags like France or Italy, which is just 3 color bars on it, and those have enormous significance for the French and Italian people.
Sure.
It's very very symbolic. It's not literal. The one exception I could see would be the Gadsden flag, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and one of NAVA's principles is you can break some rules of design with purpose. You know, Maryland's flag is another example. Maryland's flag is not a good flag by those rules because it's such a cluttered design, but it's iconic to those people, and so they really like it. So and go with it.
And the idea that we can look at the flag and put our own meaning into it,
Right.
and make it part of who we are.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
On the mic.
Thump on the
But
mic.
yeah, but I mean, there are aspects of this that this is me.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting. You get some different reviews from people on this flag. We rolled it out, and as people looked at it, you know, initially you look at it and go, "Oh, come on, really? That's the flag?" But then when you look at it and understand the symbolism, it becomes your flag.
yeah.
And I mean, literally, I was sitting there looking at it one day, and it became my flag. And Steve gave me the same experience that he had.
Sitting in a city council meeting, and we're supposed to vote on this flag, and I'm going, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
But as the meeting progressed and people talked about the process and the meaning, and it was a process for me to get to the end of the meeting to where we needed to vote to accept it, and it really did become my flag.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and I look at it now and go, yeah, that's mine.
That's mine, yeah.
And even within our own ad hoc committee, I mean, there were people who weren't huge fans of this flag, but ultimately, like you say, it becomes your flag. When you look at it, you understand the symbolism, you understand what's contained there. It is Pocatello's flag, and I think does an amazing job of encompassing all that represents Pocatello.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Do you know what I like also about this flag? And I've got to say, and I've got to say this.
Losing your mic there.
Oh man.
Uh-oh.
I better mic back up here. But what I really like about this flag is that we had 709
designs.
designs. We had 33 countries?
31 states, 26 countries.
26 countries, 31 states submit a thing, and this design came from a local person.
So this was, it was.
Which was incredible to me.
There were some base elements that were pulled from other flags, but ultimately it was designed here in town.
By a local person. And so when I know that, it also brings another bit of meaning to me. You know, this wasn't something that the three presidents got together and say, that's what we want,
firm in New
or the
Right.
firm in New York or something. This was a local design from a local guy that did this. It's incredible to me.
And the ad hoc committee just took and tweaked it, and you know, like I said, there's some elements pulled from various flags throughout the process, but ultimately it was done here in town.
Yeah.
So.
What kind of response have you gotten from the experts? The vexillological.
So
I
now,
like that.
I know. I missed that second L. I mean, there's only, 3 in there? I missed that second one the
that's
first
right.
time.
Well, just to the presidents of NAVA who weighed in, this is what they said. Here we go. I was reading from the wrong spot. Very distinctive, bold, and tells a story in one glance. Friendly and welcoming while being quite official. Another person in here from outside the community said if they saw this in a gift shop, they'd buy it.
So, where is Roman Mars?
He's in Oakland.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I suggest we get in the car and we deliver him
Hand-
his own flag.
We're trying to get him to come here.
Yes, we're working on it. We'll see if we can get the schedules lined up.
It'd be really cool
That
to
would
get
be
his
cool.
schedule, because he did come here to start the first ad hoc committee. It'd be really neat to get him here, to give him a flag. It would be incredible
it
to
would.
do that, and it's neat.
Real quick, too. So the 19th, that's when we're going to have our first official flag raising at 5:15 p.m. here at City Hall. A big one of these will be going up the flagpole for the first time. We've got the Pocatello Veterans Honor Guard. They're going to be actually doing the honors of lowering the old flags. We're going to retire the American flag, the Idaho flag that are up there right now, and an old Pocatello flag. We're going to retire those 3 and run 3 brand new flags up the flagpole, including one big guy of this. So.
Cool.
I encourage everybody to come.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of interest on Facebook. You can find more details on the event on the City Hall Facebook page. Just a real short program. We're going to have, like I said,
down the parking lot.
Yep.
part of it.
Right.
So we'll have these flags there for people to take home and have at the event. We'll also have temporary tattoos. You guys want a tattoo?
Yeah, I'm going to take one.
Well, we can just do it right here.
Oh, you're ready.
I came prepared.
Where are you going to put it?
I don't know. Right there's a good spot.
All right. I'm in.
Right there.
So there's a paper towel for each of you. Go ahead and soak that.
Okay.
We'll give you a tattoo here.
Oh, should I go? Yeah, I'll go on this side.
All right.
Soak this.
Soak that.
All right, I need
So remove the clear top sheet. There's that one.
And I'm
Right like
putting
that.
that on top.
Yep. Soak that and just hold that on there.
All right. Probably the first time on television, the mayor of Pocatello is getting a tattoo. There you go.
So let's see, I got to go. What way do I have to have this? I need to have it
Just like that.
this way.
Just like
It
that.
goes down this way, so that's the right? Because remember, I don't know my directions right now.
I had to put one on when we first got them because I was like, no, it's backwards. No, it's right. No, it's backwards. All right, just
Okay.
put one on. So we'll go ahead and leave those on there for a little bit. We'll also have stickers at the event of the Pocatello flags that people can take home. We're planning on getting those. Should be
What if
available.
I want to put a Pocatello flag on my flagpole at home?
So the Chamber of we did pre-orders before the event, but the Chamber of Commerce will be selling these. There'll be 3x5, and you can buy one at the Chamber of Commerce from them. You can also, if you want to get a hand-stitched flag, we have the design at flag.pocatello.us. You can download the design. It's got the color specs and all of those production standards things that you can send to a flag manufacturer,
And
they can do a hand-sewn flag.
Looks good.
So,
My kids are going to go, Dad!
Dad, when did that happen?
I can't tell you, I'm proud to be Pocatello right there.
So, but yeah, what we want to see is we want to see this adopted into the community. There you go.
Look at that.
And I think ran out of towels, so.
Well, we're just going to have to be wet for a minute. Maybe this paper towel, this paper right here will help. Here, Steve.
I'm good.
Are you?
But yeah, we really want to see the community take it and run with it. And T-shirts, hats. We had one person who's interested in socks that we heard about. I've seen one firm, they took and did an outline of a bear and then put the flag inside the bear.
Inside
Oh.
there.
And
I think I saw that.
So yeah, they were one of the people early on who said, hey, can we do this? And we said,
Wow.
hold on, let us make sure we've got everything right. Then we'll get it to you. And got it to them, and there we
Well,
go.
Pocatello rocks, Pocatello Chubbuck rocks. Somebody's painted a rock already with the design on it. So I've actually seen the rock. Somebody found it and said, hey, Mayor, look at this. And they showed me it's cool.
I've seen pictures. I haven't seen those in the wild yet, so I'm looking forward to when I see my first
It
one
was
of
in the
those.
wild. This one was in the wild of the wellness complex,
wild.
I think. But what a great thing. Thank you very much for your time and your efforts and everything that you did to make this happen. It was, I believe, definitely worth it and definitely something that the community can get behind. And it's neat to hear the story how it all came about and how everybody had a single focus. And in today's world, you don't see that very often.
Well,
anymore,
it brings definitely brings a meaning to a community flag when you do it through that process.
Absolutely. It absolutely does.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us tonight.